If you have to roll a 2 plus to charge, don't roll a 1.
Hey guys, what's up? So I was asked to do a video on the proper way to stack variables in Conquest. Basically, when you see a rule that says, I don't know, bastion parentheses x and, bastion parentheses plus x, right? What rule stacks with what rule? The only place where the additive values of the concept of stack is even mentioned in the rules, it's under draw events and special rules. Draw events. This section contains a comprehensive list of the draw events used in Conquest, whether they are natural abilities bestowed by spells or are manifested in other stranger ways. When a stand is affected by multiple instances of the same draw event, those draw events do not stack unless the draw event has a plus X value. Let's look at some of the rules that have the X property. Bastion X has the X property. Regeneration X has the X property. And that's it for draw events. Those are the two draw events that may stack with each other, depending on whether they are Bastion 1 or Regenerate 1, as opposed to Bastion plus 1 or Regenerate plus 1. If I look at special rules, the wording is pretty much exactly the same, except instead of draw events, we're talking about special rules. You could think of parentheses X as a static thing. It can only be replaced by other parentheses X's. You can only have one or the other, right? For example, if I have, or pen 1, I have one pen. But if I have another pen 1, I can only have one or the other. They're not additive. I either have this pen, I'm only allowed one pen, or I'm allowed one pen. It doesn't matter where the pen's coming from, I can only have one pen. It doesn't matter where cleave is coming from. If the rule says cleave 1, I can only have one cleave. So if this pen was cleave, I have cleave 1. If I have another rule that gives me cleave 1, I'm still only allowed one cleave. So it's one or the other, right? Plus 1 means what it looks like it means. If I have cleave 1, so I'm allowed just one cleave, but I'm given cleave plus 1, now I've been given permission to add 1 to the existing cleave. So now I have cleave 2. Let's look at some special rules that have the X rule. Armor piercing X, aura of death X, right? Barrage X is another one. Here's an example of how the rule plays out. If a stand has multiple barrage parentheses X profiles, you must choose one of them to use. And pretty much all the rules are like this that deal with the X rule. I don't have to go through every single rule that has X in it because they're all pretty much the same, except one. There is a single special rule, which is the exception, and that is decay. If a regiment has several instances of decay X, add all of the X values together, which just kind of begs the question, why wasn't decay written as base plus? So decay is not X, decay is plus X. And whenever decay is mentioned anywhere in the rules, it would be plus X. So if if force grown drones can get an upgrade that gives them decay, it shouldn't say decay 3, it should say decay plus 3. But that's another issue about rules writing, which, it is what it is. And that's pretty much how you stack special rules and draw events in this game. Let me give you an example of how this works with army-specific rules, okay? So for Nords, you have the White Waste Shaman, and he has a spell called Enrage. Target monster regiment adds +6 to its attack's characteristic until the end of the round. If I have a Mountain Jotnar and I cast this spell on the Mountain Jotnar, my base attacks of 12 gets +6 to be 18. If I have a second White Waste Shaman cast a second spell onto the same Mountain Jotnar, I would still get a +6. So now my 18 goes to 24. They stack. Why? Why? Because it's additive right here. +6. It's a plus. Another example is Glory of Valhalla. Target regiment adds +2 to its resolve characteristics until the end of the round. I cast Glory of Valhalla on a Valkyrie regiment, and it currently has +0, so now it gets +2. So let's say its base total is a 4, +2 is 6. If I cast a second spell on it, it would now be an 8, because these are additive. They're not the parentheses with a single number, as you can see here. Now, funny enough, once again, we're talking about decay. Decay is the one rule in the game that circumvents that. Another example, if you look at Dweg, the Tempered Steel Shaper, target regiment adds +1 to its class characteristic until the end of round. So if a regiment has Clash 3, I cast Home Blades on it, it becomes Clash 4. If I have a second Tempered Steel Shaper cast the same spell, they become Clash 5. Because these are additive, they're +1. And the same works with negatives. If you can cast this -1 onto a regiment, but from 2 different sources, you get -1 plus a -1, which will be -2 altogether. So a defensive 4 goes down to a defensive 2. So in conclusion, in Conquest, when you see a rule in brackets that just has a number, you just get that number. And when you see a rule that has a plus to it, you add that plus to whatever the value is for that rule or regiment. Hopefully y'all learned something from this. Join my Patreon if you want more videos such as this. Also, sub to the channel, please. Let's get to 600, all right? And remember, when you need a 2+ to charge, is that parentheses 2 or parentheses +2? No, but that's +2 to charge, not 2+ to charge. I guess if you have a 2+ to charge, you'd want a charge +1, so the 2 becomes a 1. Or would I start with charge parentheses 2 because that's what I have? But you know what? Forget it. Just don't roll a 1. Peace out.